My name is Mike Stroh, and we are here to talk about the State of Mind Festival, which is a culmination of work I do with high schools, post-secondary schools, mental health institutions, hospitals, parents, the whole gamut. I would say I'm trying to bring everybody together in one place to learn from each other, to listen to each other, and to improve the work that we're all doing, or to work towards our common goal. The reason, or what makes this so meaningful to me or easy for me, I mean, easy might not be the right word, but this work, this whole platform, everything I'm trying to do here is an expression of my life, really, an expression of my past experience, my present experience, and where I'd like to see myself be in the future and everybody else. And the past experience is, well, both sides of my family have mental health and addiction histories. I lived with addiction and other mental health problems for a really long time, and I still live with some of them. And my brother lives with schizophrenia. And we both had a lot of trouble as teens, and probably even younger than that, but none of these conversations, there was no mental health awareness, no mental health conversations, no emotional intelligence, like there was no kind of understanding of all these complex issues when I was younger. And maybe things could have been different for us, or at least conversations or awareness may have happened that might have benefited us or our family in certain ways. So beyond just our own personal hell and challenges and all that kind of stuff, the system, so in terms of when we were, at least when my brother was seeking support, or when my brother first got sick, our family had no idea what was going on. We had a hell of a time navigating the system. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia about when he was 22 or 23, so about 15 years ago.
How far?
For me, when I try to look back and recollect on when I started to get unwell, the easiest thing I can sort of point to is about grade 7, when I started experimenting with marijuana primarily and a couple other drugs. I mean, I was 12 years old as a prepubescent little boy, and I saw my brother and all his friends doing things, and I guess I was curious, and that's how I got started. And I was instantly hooked from the second I started getting high. And that literally, I was high every single day of my life for about 17 years, 18 years. And my brother as well, but he was 3 years older than me. So as things started to deteriorate, for me personally, they started to deteriorate for my brother as well. And I guess in the mental health language, things that are sometimes called early warning signs. So kind of behavior, emotional, thinking, or physical patterns or things start to happen. And that started, I think, for my brother around 17, 18. It started to be quite clear that he wasn't well. Like there's no way we would have been able to say, this looks like this diagnosis or this looks like that. But that's when it was clear, in retrospect, that things weren't right. And because this language, this understanding, the awareness of these things was not present back then, we wouldn't have been able to really get it. A lot of things still today, when kids are maybe not showing up at school, getting high, getting in trouble, all these things, we just label it as bad and unacceptable behavior that needs to be punished or fixed or disciplined, and that isn't helpful. Not to say that people don't need to be responsible for their actions, but we need to be helping people in different ways. And that starts with the authority people and the people that kind of are the caregivers and all that stuff, approaching things with a more compassionate, understanding perspective. And I am starting to see that happen. So again, my brother was not going to school. He was incredibly hard to wake up in the morning, all these kind of things. And he kind of just fell off the radar and slowly and surely became a little more unwell, started to exhibit more early warning signs, and eventually he had his first psychotic episode. And that's, again, was really hard to get into the system. He went to one hospital, didn't like the way he was treated there, was back in the home for a little while. It was really like traumatic almost for our family. So finally he got a diagnosis, and even then it's kind of like, okay, the doctors say it's most likely schizophrenia. What the hell does that mean? And how are we as a family supposed to like support him? Or what does that look like? And it was, that was, again, about 15 years ago, no family services whatsoever. The first hospital he went to was Sunnybrook, the first or second, and there was no family support services, nothing. Now, which is pretty cool, and they're part of the festival, there's this thing called the Sunnybrook Family Navigation Project, and they help families and young people navigate the mental health service system. So these are things that have started to come about, and these are examples of changes in the system that would have helped people like us, but none of that was around then. And for me, what made that difficult and challenging was I could pretend that there was nothing wrong with me because my brother was like worse, kind of thing. And this is somewhat subconscious. So I'm getting high all the time. I'm still doing lots of unhealthy things, but I'm okay because I'm not my brother. Or I'm okay because I'm not as bad as the guy living on the street. Or I'm okay because whatever I need to lie to myself about to allow me to keep behaving the way I was behaving. And for a lot of people in situations like myself, it's really hard to change if we're not like at a bottom, or a rock bottom is another way some people put it. And the best way I've heard that described is rock bottom is when you decide to stop digging. And what makes that so helpful for me is everybody needs to decide when they want to stop digging. And to compare myself to somebody else who has a completely different situation, different life, different whatever, it's not helpful because it allows me to stay in denial. So my rock bottom is when I'm ready to give up and when I'm ready to wave the white flag. And when the focus is elsewhere and on other people, then you can just continue to lie to yourself and pretend that things are okay when they're really not. And it's the fear of facing your truth that is so hard for people, and was so hard for me in particular, because I didn't want to face the reality of how sick I was. And yeah.